Intro music.
Come on in.
A star for the ages for Tony Gwynn, number 3,000.
They have acquired Eric Johnson and Fernando Tatis Jr. from the White Sox in exchange for James Shield.
Welcome to Slam Diego.
My name is James.
My name is Joey.
And this is the Brothers Padre.
Red alert, red alert, red alert. James, we have Padres news.
We have Padres news.
Yes, because no one else is on the internet but us. We are the news tellers, the news breakers, James. The news is, James...
It's a heavy responsibility that's on our shoulders, being the only voices for the Padres. But we will bear it with grace and dignity.
We're like the Walter Cronkites of Padres breaking news, and that's when no one's like, "What are you talking about?" No one knows who Walter Cronkite is.
Wasn't he like a famous womanizer?
Okay, well, that's not something you bring up. I'm having fun. I'm making light of things. Jayce Tingler, the most winningest manager in Padres history, percentage-wise. Was let go as acting manager, I think yesterday, right? Yesterday morning.
Yes.
So the Padres are without a manager. And, what are your initial thoughts? That you've listened to this podcast, you know this is not surprising and something we've talked about a bit. So what's your initial reaction? What's your initial thoughts about it? And we'll go into some details after that.
My initial reaction was... it was inevitable. The Padres are in a win mode mentality. They want a World Series and a National League title more than anything else. I think the problem is Jayce Tingler is a good dude, and we'll get into it, wasn't given the right tools to succeed.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, my initial reaction was like, this makes sense because ownership's like, you gotta do something, Preller. And I think that it's an easy scapegoat. And I also think that Preller realizes how deep the problem is. So we'll give one detail and then we'll go. I'll start with details and stuff like that. Because my thoughts are like, this isn't the problem. Jayce isn't the problem, right? Could he have been a better leader? Could he have been a better...
Did he make mistakes a rookie manager makes?
Yes.
Yes, but that's what you expect when you hire rookie managers.
Right. You know, to me, it's systemic. It's who's the guy informing the guys in AAA? Who are the guys that coach players how to look for pitches, how to sequence, like how to expect what to hit and stuff like that? Like, there's so much that goes with having a major league organization. Today we're watching the Rays beat up on the Red Sox, and you just see that there's an organization that believes in some form of philosophy that works. And it's not just Kevin Cash, their head manager. It's everyone on board. It's the third, first base coach, fielding coaches, hitting coaches.
And the biggest thing that's happened, I think, bigger than Jayce Tingler being fired, is they're literally getting rid of everybody, all the supporting staff, pretty much.
Yeah.
All the coaches, all the scouts, everything. They're rebuilding. Last 2 years have been rebuilding the talent in the field. Now they're rebuilding the back office. They're rebuilding everything. And so it turns out Jayce Tingler didn't have a say in any of his coaches staff. They just hired who they thought were the best people. So that was I think they set him up to fail. Plus now they're gutting the entire organization back office to rebuild. And so maybe the idea is maybe we'll bring in a manager and we'll rebuild the entire support staff. And this new manager will have a say in it. I don't understand. That's the biggest news to me, is firing all the support staff. They admit that there is a problem in the organization.
To me, it's like positive, right? Because if you just like insert we'll go into the list. Insert veteran good manager here where Jayce Tingler is. It shows me like you don't get the problem.
Yeah.
Now, there's been articles and articles written today, and
yeah,
there's been articles and articles written today and the day before that.
Do you think you can hear the cricket in the background?
I see them right there. They're right up there. You can try to kill them if you want. There's a broom right there. There's a broom. James right now is killing a cricket. Good job, James. We're consummate professionals. We do not want crickets. Did the crickets noise stop though? Yeah, I have 3 crickets in my garage. My new place will not get better. The cricket problem will not be going away. I might have lizard problems in my garage.
I think about keeping this in. All right, let's.
Where were we, James? Yeah, I mean, there's been articles written today and the past week about how there's issues with the organization. We talked about the Athletic have a collapse article, and like there's things going wrong with the organization. So in some ways, it is good that they're like, hey, not only is the manager gone, but we need to have this said manager do all of it. He needs to be part of the hiring and firing completely. In some way, that's good, right? Because you want that. You want that.
Exactly.
You want that. You want a systemic overhaul, because I think it is systemic. I think Preller is kind of a control freak. Preller kind of loves the Texas Rangers, and those aren't necessarily recipes for a winning organization. Unless you're the 2011 Texas Rangers.
Exactly.
Yeah, Peter Seidler, owner of the Padres, basically said that, Preller's job is secure. He have a lot of faith in Preller's philosophy, but they could have done things a lot better. One of the things they said was, basically said that we made mountains of molehills, basically.
Little problems they focused on more than the little problems that was costing them games.
Right. And that could be a manager thing. The manager didn't the manager's job is to crush dissent and turn moods around. If he's not doing that, then he's not doing a good job.
Oh, I agree. And it's just one of those things that I think Jayce Tingler's the obvious scapegoat. It's not 100% his fault. It's not. No. It clearly isn't. And would I like to have seen him continue on? Yeah, because I liked him. I thought he was a decent person. I thought you could watch him cheerlead on the dugout and realize that guy is a great person. Maybe he'd do a better job as a bench coach, as a cheerleader. But I was rooting for him more than I was rooting for, say, Andy Green. I ever was rooting for Andy Green.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think Tingler is like a very, very nice person. I think he's a very honest and good person.
And they said they relieved him of the duties. They didn't fire him.
Right.
So chances are he's going to be in the organization somewhere. And who knows, in a couple of years he might manage another team, and he will learn from this experience to become a good manager. But the other article we want to talk about is what was the writer's name again?
Sorry,
what was the guy that wrote this?
It was Darren Smith was the guy. It was a radio show, Extra 1360. Oh
yeah, and basically, he said the next couple of weeks we're going to hear a lot of things that went on in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
and the falling apart of the falling out between players, and how the biggest heel in the clubhouse was Eric Hosmer. Now, obviously, we don't know what he means by that. We don't know what the stories are.
Right, and
it's hard to say, and it's really hard to just. Obviously, because Hosmer has been such a problem child all year, it would, and everyone kept on saying he was such a good guy in the clubhouse. If that was just some giant, cover up, it would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know what. It's just always tough because it's like a lot of hearsay, and but. I mean, it all comes back to the trade deadline, and they all said statements that when Hosmer was on the trading block, it wasn't treated like it wasn't responded well. And there's been comments that like people. So here's the crazy thing. Of course, no player is going to put their name attached to any of these comments.
No.
But the comments are things like, "Oh, we don't feel like Preller treats us the way other GMs treat us. They don't give us heads up, and we don't feel that there's like a good strategy going forward." Some people have said that they don't want to play here anymore. That's what a player told Jeff Passan. And like, what I want to believe is that the player that's married to a Fox News reporter probably knows how to stir the media the best.
Which player is this?
Eric Hosmer, James.
Eric Hosmer's married to a reporter? Okay.
Yeah. But I could be wrong. It could be really trouble in paradise. Brian Dozier was a Padre for 5 seconds, and he's declined to play for us because he said it was a mess in the clubhouse. And at the time, everyone was like, "This is crazy." And then Slam Diego happened. Like, how can it be a mess? We're hitting grand slams all the time.
It could be very clicky too.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like. Okay, James, I'm going to be really honest with you, okay? You ready for me? I wasn't honest before.
Okay.
Episode 60-something, I'm honest with you now, right?
All right. This is the most honest choice I've ever been in my whole life.
So, you've worked with people before, right?
A few times.
At a job, right?
A few times.
And you all have a shared vision, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, we got to sell this shirt. We got to make sure the shirt is stocked. We got to make sure the display around the said shirt is clean. We all have duties. Oh, I'm the person that rings up the shirt, right? So what happens if one of you guys has a bad attitude and doesn't do the proper job?
The work suffers, and many things depends on who happened. Yeah. What happened? You could lose customers.
James, they're baseball players. Their job is to play baseball. And play it well. If someone gave me a paycheck that could have 7 zeros potentially in it, I'm gonna play baseball well. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain point where like your fifis are getting in the way of you hitting the ball, and you're gonna complain to national beat writers that like the vibe isn't right. And like, there's a certain point where leaders have to fix that, right? I get that. Like, Jayce Tingler should have. He said that he should have stepped in at certain times, not let the Tatis Machado thing happen, not possibly have the Hosmer thing happen, right? He should have been forward and said, "We don't tolerate this. We are a forward-moving group." But also, you baseball players, right? If what happens in the dugout, like, really challenges you to be a good player, then maybe you shouldn't be a baseball player. You know what I mean? Like, apart from Jayce Tingler killing your kids, like, you should probably just play for the man and play well. I am on the side now of like, yes, it's systemic, but they're way too talented players. You're telling me that Eric Hosmer just stopped becoming a good fielder? Well, maybe he did. But we're saying, are you telling me that like he couldn't have gotten better at fielding the second half? Couldn't have gotten better at all these sorts of things? He couldn't have not swung up balls 3 feet outside the strike zone. He could, like, it blows, and you're saying that might be because of like your feelings. His feelings.
Oh, I know.
His feelings. You want to know something? Manny Machado, who people who aren't Padres fans hate him to death. I mean, we've talked about how much we love Manny so much. Manny Machado has been hurt since April, and he still had a plus 800 OPS season, almost 300, almost 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs.
Yeah.
And he's been hurt since April.
And will probably win a Gold Glove. Heck no.
If your feelings are hurt because you might be traded because you're terrible, and then you cause dissent because you might be traded, Like that is where like maybe like I don't know like maybe it just maybe it's a you problem and not the organization problem. Maybe you're the talk. Maybe you're Jeremy Giambi in the Oakland Athletics in the early 2000s, right? Maybe you're that guy and you're just like you're of no use to us. You are a cancerous. And no, I don't know if any of this is true. I do know what the output of Eric Hosmer is on the field, and it's terrible.
Yeah, you can't.
He ended the season with a 0 WAR. It means anyone can be just as good as him if they're just average.
I know. Albert Pujols documenting the slowest slowest player in baseball right now because he's 48 years old, has at least a +1 WAR at defense in first base. That's insane.
It's so crazy. I think that Hosmer has the talent. We're now fully assuming that what the rumors are true and it's actually Hosmer that's causing this. He has the talent to not be terrible. I do actually believe that. I think our whole team is as talented not to be terrible. Right? I do think that.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. We have a very talented team.
And then we're like, I don't know, man. Then your feelings get in your way because you might be traded. Like, I don't know, man. That to me, it's like if you really are that way and you drag everyone down because of that, then you need to get a reality check or something, man. Like it's just you can't have that around.
I agree.
Listen, that concludes my 17th Eric Hosmer rant within the past week. So,
and luckily we only recorded 2 of them. I can show you my text message of just Hosmer rants. In between cute photos of my niece, Eric Hosmer sucks.
She's
picking up an ice cream.
You know what
Eric
I want?
Hosmer sucks.
You know what I want? I want him to like play Dominican winter ball and be like, I'm reinventing myself. I'm gonna reteach myself how to swing. I'm gonna hit balls in the air only. And he's gonna be like Hunter Pence. He reinvented his career later, and just he does that. I want that for him, and have some sort of like maybe I should turn my bad attitude around.
I agree. He is being paid way too much money, and if the rumors are true that he sabotaged the team, there's got to be some sort of contract breaking point where they can't just. That is ridiculous. If those rumors are true, because he is gone. I think that's probably AJ's number one priority. Or he'll just be our most expensive player in AAA.
You know what's funny is, did I send you that tweet about someone hypothesized that Eric Hosmer might become the most sought after free trade piece after the CBA gets approved? Because in this collective bargaining agreement that's going to happen after the postseason ends, MLB owners and the player association are going to agree on new contracts and stuff like that. One of them they're proposing is a salary floor. So a team like the Pirates, for example, they only have a $43 million payroll. Say if they need to get to $60 million, instead of them signing 3 players, they're going to only sign 1 player, right? To lessen their burden over the next 3 or 4 years. So they'll get some balloon contract like Hosmer to make it actually save them money over the long term.
That is yeah. That I would like to see Hosmer in a Pirates uniform, but let's get back to
trying to be positive.
Trying to be positive. So on the positive note, yes. Not positive note. Now that they fired Jayce Tingler, the search for a new manager begins. And Joey, you want to know how many managers do you think, or let me ask you this, when was the last Padre manager hired that had former major league management experience?
I think
neither one of us was born.
I was trying to think. It's been a long time.
Jack McKinnon was the manager from...
Always been rookie, quote unquote, no major league management experience.
Jack McKinnon was our coach from 81 to 90.
That is bananas.
So listening to several Padre talk shows, they made a list of who they want to see.
Okay.
As far and so let me run you down the experienced people that have previous management.
Should I react to them in real time or show me way after?
Whatever your conscience feels like doing.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't know it was
All right.
Pinocchio
First,
right now.
Buck Showalter,
Love it.
and he's the first because he said he wants to get back into managing.
He also is like very pro analytics. Manny Machado loved him. But
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that that should be the case but I think Buck Showalter doesn't suffer no fools. And
True, and he will lay down the law. And number 2 is Bruce Bochy.
this is where it gets tough though, man. Because of course I want to see Bochy back. Because the nostalgia is too good, right?
I know.
You want to see him sit down, chomping his gum, chomp, and
His
walking
weird
up
colored
like
eyes, yeah.
he just walking out of the bullpen like, I'm not watching the game. It's the right thing to do. Whatever. And you're like, and he has this deep voice and a big old head. Of course I want to see Bochy back, right? But it's like, is he the guy? I don't know. Because it's not. People forget that Bochy, isn't like a super winning manager.
No, I mean, he was when he was in the Giants.
But it's still like, I mean, you think about, so after 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, those are the 3 years left, right? He had up until 2019.
Yeah.
And those weren't great years for him. And I don't know, man. I do wonder if, I don't know about that one. I think I'd have to see. I think he'd have to come out and say I'm fully on board. And he said that the Giants coaching staff now has done an incredible job of making the players buy into the philosophy. So maybe.
Now the next one is one that I really disagree with.
Yeah.
But they brought up Jim Leland.
See, that's where I'm gonna have to say no, dog. That's a big no from me, dog.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's 76 years old, and he's technically younger than Tony La Russa, yeah.
No, that's a no. That's a no for me.
And the next one is Ron Washington.
I understand why that's a good choice and why everyone likes him, but I don't know, man. It's also weird that Buck Showalter and Ron Washington are both Rangers guys. Like, it just feels like we shouldn't. I just don't want another Rangers person ever hired. Like, just
there are other teams, in baseball. And the last experienced manager they brought up, Carlos Beltran.
Oh, spicy. That's a spicy one.
Yes, because he can play baseball, be in baseball again because he's served his year of suspension.
Hinch and Cora are doing fine.
Yeah, exactly. So that was there, and he's a big analytics guy, and he loves watching videos. And so those are the experience list, and they also put out 4 potential rookie managers. Do you want to hear their names?
Yeah, I do.
The first one was the bench coach for the Cubs when they won the World Series.
I was like, Andy Green?
No, Mark Loretta.
Former Padre great.
All 4 of these are former Padres.
Okay.
All right.
Khalil Green, one of them?
No, he's not one of them. The next one is the current third base coach for the Oakland Athletics. Used to be the bench coach, also was a minor league manager for their AAA team, Mark Kotsay.
I like the idea of taking people from really smart organizations that are currently in great smart organizations. Oakland A's, very smart organization. I'm okay with that.
The other one that they brought up is currently the bench coach for the Boston Red Sox, and Will Venable.
Your boy Will Venable.
Was
He just like? Was he? When was the last year Will Venable played?
I believe
4 years ago.
I believe it was 2016. As Joey Google search Will Venable.
Will Venable. It wasn't that long ago. Will Venable.
The Boston organization loves him. Apparently, he's a real smart baseball guy, really into analytics, and loves everything about it. When was the last time you played?
Well, he's like almost your exact age.
Oh, okay.
He last played in 2016 for the Dodgers.
Okay. And then the final one is the one they Gwen and Chris said were probably the most likely as far as potential. He managed for years in the Padres organization, and he is currently the third base coach for the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. Phil Nevin.
Phil Nevin, yeah. And they said the reason why he's probably the strongest candidate is because he's been in the organization pretty much since he retired. He's been our organization and helped build our minor league system. So those are the candidates they brought up. Which one do you? What are your thoughts and all? My thoughts is Buck Showalter is the best choice. And
I think
as far as the rookies go, since they're all just as big of a crapshoot as the other ones, I have met Mark Loretta. I've sold him a television.
Yeah,
nice guy. Phil Nevin seems to have fire.
Phil Nevin would be ejected every other game.
I don't know. As far as the experienced guys go, obviously, I mean, as much as I hate the Astros, Carlos Beltran makes sense. But I don't think anyone's going to hire him. I think Buck Showalter and Ron Washington are probably the two closest and experienced guys we'll get. And when it comes to the newer guys, probably Phil Nevin. And since Will Venable's so young, it would probably be Mark Kotze. Would probably be the two ones because they've both been bench coaches for a longer period of time. And so the Boston Red Sox believe Will Venable is their manager of the future.
Yeah.
They have a lot of faith in him. How about you?
I want the guy that says I've been thinking a lot about organizational structures recently.
Okay.
Yeah. So, not to bore you all too much with that, but, there's this idea that, like, you bring a bunch of talented people together and good things happen, right? And that's kind of true, in my experience and my belief system. And my belief system is that stuff still needs to get done, right? And the problem is AJ Preller really does lean on this idea of, like, I'll have super bright people around me that are talented and motivated, and that's good enough. I don't think that's good enough in this kind of baseball organization the Padres have. I think you need someone who isn't a GM puppet and someone who has a strong vision that can, at game time, can overrule AJ's desires, right? And so when I see Ron Washington, I think of, like, the baseball guy. Well, I know baseball. I know how to, like, get people to play baseball. I'm talented in that way. But I don't think he's, like, a strong leader and someone who can think about, like, how can we make this person who's not good better, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. And so I think what I want is a manager to come in. And Peter Seidler had a good quote. He said, like, we're not looking for a 64-year-old or a 37-year-old. We're looking for the best manager possible to San Diego Padres. And I want the manager that says, hey, I'm coming in here and we're going to do it this way. You see the Rays, you see the Giants, you see the Athletics. We need to have that in San Diego. We need to transform people at the major league level into great players.
Agreed. Absolutely
and that's
agreed.
the person I want. I don't. Whether that's Buck Showalter, like Buck Showalter has the moxie to to push forward a vision, right? So I think in that ways he's probably he's probably the one that I would say I'm most leaning towards. He has success winning in the playoffs. You know,
he is both analytics driven and old school baseball. Proper slides, knows all the rules, that kind of a guy.
Now, if Bochy comes in and says, "Hey, I want to recreate what the Giants are doing right now, but I want to be a part of that," and he leads a vision where he's just really aggressive about that, because in a lot of ways we are like the early 2010 Giants teams. A lot of talent, you know, just not coordinated, there's not a unified organizational philosophy. So all in all, I'm trying to say is someone that comes with a strong vision, and because they're basically going to pick their entire staff.
Someone with a strong vision and understands the way baseball is going.
Yeah.
Because it seems like whoever can adapt to the way baseball is being played now the fastest are the teams that are winning. I.e. Rays, Giants, and those are the two ones significantly. The ones that are currently trying to adapt to that right now, Blue Jays, Red Sox, the Pirates seem to be building a lot of pieces organizationally wise. Mm-hmm. They don't have the player talent yet, but there's a lot of teams that are trying to build analytics driven, all that kind of stuff up. And the Astros do it well as well. So it's like, we need someone who knows that they have to adapt to the times. We can't bring in somebody that's old school, you know, the same lineup every night, and doesn't look at any of the advanced stats.
Yeah. I think it's probably going to happen way sooner than people realize.
Oh, yeah.
This hiring to assemble a staff takes a lot.
So here's the thing. If, say, one of these future managers are on a Major League Baseball team currently, i.e. Will Venable, we won't have a manager until mid-November. But if it's one of the other guys, they might be hired tomorrow, you know?
Right. I mean, I think it's also, I wonder if it's also one of those things depending upon if Aaron Boone is fired from the Yankees, how does that work? I still feel like the Yankees will not go old school manager. I think they will go young buck GM puppet role. But there might be that's another wrinkle where these same people are gonna interview for all of them.
Correct.
Both positions.
Absolutely correct. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna bring you all the news, but there is one more thing I need to bring up, Joseph.
Okay.
So we rarely ever do this day in Padre history.
Yeah. Especially in October. So October 7th Yep.
has a really awesome this day in Padre history.
Okay, I'm ready.
October 7th, the last game of 2001 season.
Yep.
Was Tony Gwynn's last day playing in a Major League field. And also the day in which Ricky Henderson collected his 3,000th hit. I remember watching it. It was a true great baseball history moment. Two of the greats achieving greatness.
Yeah.
And it was anyways, I remember watching it live. 2001. Phil Nevin was on our team in 2001. I believe he hit 41 home runs.
Yeah. Phil Nevin, Mr. Block the Ken Griffey Jr. trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not bitter about it, though.
Anyways, I thought that was interesting. Ricky Henderson, 3,000 hit. Tony Gwynn played his last game October 7th, 2001.
What if AJ Preller hires Ricky Henderson to be the manager of San Diego Padres?
It would be a fun team to watch.
Like, I have green lights every time. Like, just run. Ricky puts himself into a lineup. Like, what?
Ricky pinch runs. Like, can a manager pinch run? He's wearing a uniform. I don't understand.
That'd be funny. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see. One more thing I forgot to mention.
Oh, really?
Padres are rumored to go after Marcus Stroman in the offseason.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
Can't have enough good starting pitching.
That's true.
I would like to see what was fabled at the beginning of this season, a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
I would like to see it next season. And if we could somehow get a fabled 6-man rotation where Marcus Stroman was our weakest pitcher, and they're healthy all year long, that's an unstoppable rotation.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see how it shakes out. I think there's going to be no signing until after the CBA anyway, but I'd be interested to see it play out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. James, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Twitter at Brothers Padre. We're going to keep doing October episodes here and there when new news comes out and, catching up on our bracket, our playoff bracket.
So
not doing so good.
Doing so good.
But, we'll get there eventually. One day our brackets will be right. But thank you for your continued listenership. We really appreciate it. Remember to like us, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that fun thing. And until next time, James, go Padres.
Go Padres.
And there it is! Oh, doctor! You can hang a star on that, baby!